Before we start, please, like this video to help spread our work, and follow this channel to follow our next videos. In this special article, we're going to check out 100 amazing tips and secrets for the Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild game, which will help anyone who decides to venture into the vast lands of Hyrule, and be careful not to get lost like I was. 1 time. Good luck, adventurers. 1. You can make a rusty weapon fully heal by throwing it next to an Octorok. They'll kind of swallow the gun and literally spit out a brand new gun. 2. When we are in very cold or hot environments, Link suffers and loses hearts. Normally, we use special clothing or elixirs. However, if you use an ice weapon in a hot environment, or a firearm in an ice environment, a torch will also do. 3. In the desert, if you stay in the shade, you will suffer less. 4. If you hunt animals in cold environments, the meat will be frozen. If you hunt in hot environments, the meat will be roasted. 5. Use the rocks, available powers or any trick to lift the deactivated guardians, and you can find several pieces under them. 6. Make friends with the dogs in the stables by giving them apples, and they will show you a hidden buried chest. 7. The Endura carrot, when consumed by your horse, makes it able to run longer. 8. Have you tried riding on other types of animals? It's possible, yes, it's not easy, but totally allowed in the game. It's just not possible to register in the stable. 9. You can even ride a Lionel, the centaurs in the game. 10. Even an undead horse. 11. This one is more for fun. Try to get to a stable with the undead horse. Everyone is going to get desperate, and that's really funny. 12. If you leave Link shirtless, be careful not to be in a very cold place. He makes different poses when standing still for a while. 13. Throwing some weapons at some enemies can do good damage, especially if that weapon is about to break. However, some of them can pick up this weapon and throw it back. 14. If you have a piece of meat and leave it for a while in a cold environment, it will be frozen. If you leave it in a hot environment, it will be roasted, but in Death Mountain, Lards Gorons, it will cook right away. 15. Some bosses throw ice blocks. Instead of wasting your arrows, use the Cryonis power to break the blocks. 16. In the game, you can, by hitting enemies, disarm them. If you throw a weapon at them, they will pick it up, whatever the weapon is, and attack you. Try throwing a leaf at them. 17. The Hynocs are dangerous ogres that roam Hyrule. They usually keep some good treasures and weapons. Although they look stupid, they are not. If you hit his eye twice with arrows, he will switch to protecting you. 18. Still on them. If you are careful enough, you can climb on their hand and wait for them to scratch their belly. That way, you can steal his items much easier. 19. Continuing on the Hynocs, try to burn their leg guards. Will deal more damage to them with using most weapons. 20. There is a way to distract most monsters during a fight. Just throw an apple or other fruit at them. 21. A very interesting feature in Breath of the Wild is to use masks to, in a way, infiltrate enemy camps or avoid being attacked by them. Majora's Mask, obtained via DLC, is a clear example. Most enemies don't attack you. There is a seller, very difficult to find, but if found, will sell different masks. It's called Kilton. 22. Those metallic boxes that, if broken, give you items, have another use. If you see that there are a lot of enemies around any of these boxes, shoot an electric arrow. This will generate an electric field that will literally electrocute them all. 23. Do you usually venture flying in the paraglider? There's something useful you can do with it. Drop bombs from above. Try flying over an enemy camp and dropping bombs. 24. The physics mechanics of the game are very realistic. That's why the wonderful bomb arrows don't work when it's raining. 25. Speaking of rain, it can help you accumulate bomb arrows. In the camps, where enemies use these arrows, if it's raining, a lot of them will be left over, because they won't explode. Just pick up the ones on the floor. 26. And, about these amazing bombastic arrows, do not use in hot environments. They will explode and do a lot of damage to Link. 27. When collecting firewood, be careful when using a weapon with fire. If you do this, instead of firewood, the tree will become a bonfire. So if you want a fire quickly, it's a good method. 28. When the red moon rises, enemies return to life. This is dangerous, but it can also be taken advantage of. If you cook with the red moon in the sky, the foods that are cooked will be more powerful. 29. Finding shrines, which are the dungeons of the game, is an arduous task, but there is something that can help. Birds are usually flying in flocks near the dungeon location. 30. This one is also more out of curiosity. The game over will appear differently depending on how you die. 31 As I said, the physics mechanics of this game are amazing. You can use this to your advantage, for example by throwing a snowball from above. It grows, acquiring more snow and, when it falls, in a group of enemies, for example, it will cause a lot of destruction. 32 Another curiosity. If you attract birds, and they can be those annoying ones that keep following you, over different dangers like thorns, they will die. 33 In the stables, shops and in some villages, it is possible to see on the walls some very interesting recipes that will help a lot in the adventure. 34 The NPCs in the game react differently, according to the clothes you are wearing. Try several. The results are funny. 35 Salespeople, for example, say some pretty crazy things if you talk to them when you're at the counter. 36 Still talking about sellers, they sell better stuff on rainy days. 37 Try talking to NPCs on days of different weather. They say different things. 38 And there's more. Some of them simply change their routines on rainy days. 39 Use and abuse the bonfire. Whether to spend the night, or to spend the rainy day. 40 Want to fish faster? Throw a lightning bolt into the water of a river or lake. Then just catch the floating fish. This also goes for enemies, however, not all of them die instantly. 41 You know those little wizards that are jumping around? You can kill them quickly if you shoot an arrow contrary to your element. It also goes for weapons that have the opposite element. 42 Inside the dungeons, there are chests. If you manage to get them all from inside the dungeon, there will be a chest icon next to the shrine on the map. 43 You know when you're climbing and then you run out of stamina, fall and die? It is possible to avoid death by simply teleporting. Go on the map, choose a possible location and teleport. Just by adding, you can teleport at any time. 44 If you have already arrived at Villa dos Ritos, you must have noticed the pleasant theme music of the place. It changes as you progress through side quests. 45 Talking again about fish. If you drop a bomb, those that explode according to your command, into the water and explode it, it will kill the fish as well. 46 One more curiosity. If you use a firearm during rainy weather, it will give off fumes. 47 An incredible curiosity. Horses don't go into the water with you on them, but if they fall, they swim back. Too much, isn't it? 48 If you mow the tall grass, it can reveal insects, lizards and even fairies. Always get fairies. 49 One of Link's powers is stasis, which allows him to temporarily stop objects. This works for just about anything, but it's very useful on some buttons. You stop the buttons after they're pressed and then kind of skip some puzzles. 50 Still on the status, if used on enemies, it will paralyze them, giving them the opportunity to flee or attack. 51 Those gelatin creatures that come towards you by surprise, can change their element, according to the environment they are in or the weapon with which they are attacked. 52 Have you played Ocarina of Time? One of the funniest things is hitting chickens. They call in a huge bunch that do a lot of damage in Link. In Breath of the Wild, it is possible to use this to attack enemies. Just hold a chicken and let the enemies attack it. Several chickens will join the fight. Hilarious. 53 Everywhere you can see the Hylian inscriptions. They can be translated into English, and subsequently, into Portuguese. There are hidden messages and even interesting clues. 54 Dropping rocks on Korok's heads. Yes, those endless creatures that must be found on the map, which give items to be exchanged for weapon slots, will generate funny reactions from them. 55 As I said before, the characters in the game react in different ways. Try to draw a sword near them. 56 Try not to let your horse run too loose, near places where you are looking for Koroks. He can eat the apples you place on some altars. 57 The Hinox can, during the fight, pick up trees and use them as weapons against you. Maybe dropping them while the monster sleeps might be a good idea. 58 Firebats can set grass and other things on fire if they fly close. 59 Have you ever thought about using a catapult, object that launches something, to jump higher? If you use stasis on an object, take a few hits from it, and climb on top, it will be thrown up along with the object. 60 Fire creates a current of air that can propel Link up. Use bonfires, or even set fire to Grace, with a fire arrow, for example, while flying. 61 We know that Death Mountain is the hottest place in Hyrule. If you throw fire arrows at enemies, they will evaporate. That is, it will be too hot even for them. 62 Speaking of the place, there are some carts there, which can take you to many interesting things. If you place a bomb behind them, it will make the cart run really fast. If it's on track, of course. 63 in the game, there are references to old games in the series. Like the Temple of Time in the Lon Lon Rancho, in ruins. 64 There is someone, on a bridge in Hyrule territory, named Brigo, who if he sees Link standing on the bridge, will try to convince him not to jump. Amazing, isn't it? 65 Do not carry weapons, armor, shields or metal items during a lightning storm. A ray like this can kill instantly. 66 Speaking of chickens again, if you scare them by hitting them close, maybe they will lay eggs. 67 In some dungeons, you need to use metal boxes to conduct electricity, but metal weapons work too. Try it. 68 Apples or hazelnuts, if thrown directly into the fire, improve their effects. 69 Want to take a selfie with Link? Just hold the ZL button and use the left stick. 70 There is an object called Balloon Octo, which allows you to levitate objects. Try using this to levitate bombs over enemies. 71 Incorrect or very bad combinations will become unwanted by the game and will be practically useless. 72 Eating cold foods offers resistance to heat. Usually 1 minute. 73 Cake recipe for you to fatten up Link. Apple, wild berry, any other fruit, wheat and sugarcane. Just cook and that's it. Here's a beautiful cake. 74 Lionels are smart enemies and have some interesting actions. Sometimes they may stare at you before attacking you. That is, if you don't draw a weapon. 75 Now, if you draw, the combat will begin. 76 But it can also happen that Lionel puts the gun up and just looks at you. As if it was some kind of threat, as if they needed it. 77 There is a very difficult place, the Colosseum, which has a specific Lionel, which shoots arrows over walls to hit you. 78 Remember I talked about the masks. There's one from Lionel, but they're not fooled for long. 79 If you keep killing a monster of the same species, stronger versions of them will appear scattered throughout Hyrule. 80 The Guardians also revive with the red moon, which gives a great chance to pick up more weapons and items. 81 There is the possibility to customize your horse's accessories. There are very useful accessories in the DLC. For this, look for the stables, employees, who are usually close to the horses. 82 You can see the Aurora Boreal in the game, can you believe it? Just go deep north of Hebra and wait for night to fall. 83 In the game, we need to complete the Song of Cass, a Rito who sings mysterious things about the shrines. Each of the riddles he speaks represents a part of the complete song. 84 Watch out for rare and very valuable items. Some of them give significant boost to some items if they are cooked in the recipe. 85 Link can make the dream of his own house come true, did you know? And still decorate the walls with shields and weapons. 86 Those jellies, which can change the elements according to the environment and attack you make, explode and leave balls of the same element with which they are attacked. They can hurt nearby enemies who are weak to this element. 87 There are creatures, such as animals and insects, that can only be found at night. 88 Take a look at the map. Some locations are homages to personalities from previous Zeldas. 89 One way I use a lot to fight those guardians that can move is to destroy their legs. It's really useful. 90 And those flyers, just destroy the propellers. 91 Those deadly rays that the guardians release can be hit with any shield, similar to the parry from Dark Souls. But it has to be at the exact moment the lightning strikes the guardian's eye. 92 On Nintendo Switch, we have a motion sensor. In some dungeons, this feature is used a lot. It is possible to turn some of these dungeons upside down by simply turning the controller upside down. 93 Pikongo, a chick from Villa Kakariko, is always painting next to a tree in life. If you zoom in on the camera, you can see what he's painting. 94 You can fire a spin attack without having to carry any weapons, but it's not easy. Just run in tight, precise circles. 95 Did you know that if you push bokoblins and moblins into the water, they die? 96 A curiosity. Moblins that are near water will sometimes drink the water, or even wash themselves. 97 One of the things I find most annoying in the game are the rafts. You can slide them over the water with a large sheet, but there is another method. Use a large weapon inside the raft, and the power of magnesis to push that weapon inside the sail. 98 When you finish a shrine, there is a monk to give you an orb. Some of them have poses that reference the sages from Ocarina of Time. 99 When you're climbing, depending on the location, Link makes different faces, like he's suffering or very tired. 100 Moblins can play bokoblins against you. This is too funny. I hope you, noble adventurer, succeed with these tips. Save Zelda, and have fun. Article written by Daniel FXDS and published on the Revolution Arena website.